Tonight on Joy News Prime, senior police officer detained by the BNI expected to be arraigned on Wednesday. His lawyers, however, insist the charges are without merit.
He was interrogated yesterday for only his comments on WhatsApp. They have not said they found a pin. They've not said they found a needle. They've not said they found scissors. They've not said they found a cutlass in preparation for any coup d'etat. Nope, absolutely nothing.
We also get to hear from the wife who eventually got to see him, having been denied access since Tuesday afternoon.
You keep the person in custody. Everybody that has been invited concerning that WhatsApp message, they have all been discharged and they are gone. My husband is the only person they are still holding in custody.
Minority in Parliament challenges plans by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to spend over 3 million cedis on various corporate social responsibility initiatives.
There's a funding gap of more than 1.24 billion. This is a huge, colossal amount that GNPC is yet to even find the funding to close. The minister must come to explain when these protocols were adopted. Is the minister aware? Is it a policy decision of government that GNPC can engage in this kind of expenditure?
The Auditor-General, meanwhile, believes the expenditures will have to be probed.
An audit will interrogate to find out whether the laws of GNPC allows the money to be used that way.
The Joy Clean Ghana campaign comes up close and personal with some of the horrible conditions in some of Accra's cold stores.
This is your cold room, isn't it? Yes. Look at though there is pallets here. You can see how dirty these pallets are. You can see how dirty the floor is. You can see the condition under which that you store this meat and you bring it out for sale. Anything that is here is not going out to the market.
Mr. Reliant Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at COCOBOD here in Accra with digital address GA09925339. Stay tuned in. Lawyers for a senior police officer detained by the BNI for his involvement in an alleged coup plot are questioning the charge of high treason slapped on him by state investigators. ACP Dr. Benjamin Agojo has been in the custody of the BNI since Tuesday afternoon when he was invited to assist in an ongoing probe into the said plot to overthrow the presidency. His lead counsel, Martin Kpebu, says Dr. Agojo was denied access to his family and lawyers for several hours. Dr. Agojo in the last hour has been moved back to BNI cells after being given an opportunity to see his family and lawyers. Lead counsel Martin Kpebu has been speaking with Joy News about his interactions with him so far.
It turned out that the BNI are unwilling to grant him bail, and then also they are saying that they will rather arraign him before the Kaneshie District Court tomorrow morning, so we can go and apply for bail in that court. But you see, the snag is this. We know that the district court ordinarily has no jurisdiction to try such a matter. So it means that, properly speaking, we can't get bail in that court. So it means that we'll take steps eventually to go to the High Court for bail.
We know that for the 9 others who are standing trial, the offense is treason felony. Is that the same offense that your client is being investigated in relation to, in terms of the documents that you have seen? No.
What I saw yesterday was a case of high treason. I didn't see treason felony. So I'm really surprised. Well, it's up to the prosecution to have different charges. The family has been here since 6:30 a.m. Let me repeat with all the energy I can master. The family has been here since 6:30 a.m. and they were flatly denied access. Myself as lawyer, I came around 11 a.m. and I was also denied access until after 3 p.m. This is very deplorable. This is a blot on our democracy, that a man is arrested and he won't be allowed to have access to his family. For crying out loud, why? Is he a dangerous person? Is he a danger to his own family? I mean, what is this? This is a man who was just interrogated for his comments on WhatsApp. Let me repeat. He was interrogated yesterday for only his comments on WhatsApp. They have not said they found a pin. They've not said they found a needle. They've not said they found scissors. They've not said they found a cutlass in preparation for any coup d'etat. Nope, absolutely nothing.
Well, my colleague Joseph Akable just returned from the BNI headquarters and joins me in the studio. Before then, quick correction, I indicated that it was Tuesday afternoon. He has been detained since Monday afternoon, so that's just the correction. So the family had pitch camped at the BNI headquarters Tuesday. Have you managed to get your thoughts on the accusations and the detention of ACP Agojo?
In fact, the wife, Patience Agojo, and the children and brothers of Dr. Agojo, they said they came over at 6:30 a.m. They had been trying yesterday to have access to him. They didn't have that, so they came over today at 6:30 a.m. first to the BNI headquarters, which is located around the immigration service area, the Ridge area. They were there. They were told later on to come after 3, and this time around to move to another facility belonging to the BNI, which is located at the COCOBOD area, where they finally had access to him. So I spoke to Patience Agojo, who is the wife. He says they feel that she feels that her husband is being intimidated by the security operatives. We can listen to her.
I see it as a kind of intimidation. That is the way I look at it. Because I don't see how they can stand on WhatsApp message and start persecuting somebody. You keep the person in custody. Everybody that has been invited concerning that WhatsApp message, they have all been discharged and they are gone. My husband is the only person they are still holding in custody. And I don't understand. Maybe somebody will have a good reason to explain to me. I don't know. That is my problem.
And how did you receive the news that he has been arrested? How did you?
I was shocked. I was shocked. I was very much shocked. I was shocked.
And after visiting him, how do you feel now?
Okay, now I feel better. After seeing him, at least I'm relieved. I've seen him, I've spoken to him, and I think it is a better way of relieving myself than waiting without seeing him.
What did he tell you?
He said God is in control, so I should just be calm.
How is the family handling everything that's happening now?
Actually, we are just trusting that the truth will come out and he will be released any moment soon. Yes, we are just trusting that the truth will come out. If the truth will be spoken, then actually he will come out. Yes, he hasn't done anything.
So there was Patience Agojo, who is wife to Dr. ACP Agojo. Now, yesterday when the news broke right here on Joy News Prime, when we spoke with the lawyer, what the indications we had, Joseph, was that it was as a result of some conversations or some comments he had made on a WhatsApp group platform. And then there was also talk about advice he had given to the people. But today we're learning that there are a few other things that have come up. You tell us what you know.
This is a donation of 2,000 cedis that the lawyers say Dr. Agojo made to the Take Action Ghana group. He says the group is a philanthropic organization, and so he donated that amount of 2,000 cedis to them, and he doesn't think or was not of the understanding that it was being used as a group, as in funds for a group that intends to destabilize the country's peace. In fact, the state prosecutors' documents they filed in court, they described the group as the main vehicle that was to be used to engage in series of demonstrations aimed at overthrowing the presidency.
All right. We're also learning about some ongoing investigations involving Superintendent retired Tobu, who apparently had dealings with a group of suspected coup plotters.
The main character is Dr. Frederick McPalm, who is the prime suspect in this entire investigation. We understand that ACP Agojo met Dr. McPalm together with Superintendent Tobu, and because he was supposed to meet Dr. McPalm on a set date, and he decided that since he had a meeting with Superintendent Tobu on the same day, it was important to meet both of them at the same time. His lawyer, Martin Kwebu, has been giving us further details on this.
Should he be persecuted for an obvious truth? That one too, so many of us have been saying it for years. Even the police service itself has had occasion to make the same statements to the Constitutional Review Commission. When the Constitutional Review Commission was set up, the police themselves, when they appeared before the commission, they said they don't feel independent enough. They want to have their own independence. So they suggested to the Review Commission that they want to have a police service commission, which will be responsible for the appointments. So they want to take the power away from the sitting president, as you said. So the police service itself has had occasion to complain, has had occasion to propose to the Constitutional Review Commission that they want to be independent. What is strange about this? They are not asking for the moon.
We understand that there are some other 7 police officers.
Yes, definitely. This is a witch hunt, not a coup d'etat.
We understand there are some other 7 police officers and past police officers like Superintendent Tobu who also being investigated. Did that issue come up in relation to the interrogation that took place yesterday and your interaction with him today?
Yes, you see, the way it came up is this. You see, Dr. Agozo has met Dr. McPam only once. So on the day he was going to meet Dr. McPam, he was also scheduled to meet DSP Peter Tobu. So what he did was that he said, okay, then he might as well just meet the two at the same time. So he went and met at that same venue. He met DSP Peter Tobu. Then just when they were about done, Dr. McPam arrived. So even out of that, ACP Agozo even then suggested to Dr. McPam that, he thinks that Peter Tobu is also another very socially conscious person. So he should add him to the TAG platform. And don't forget, that platform was formed to deliberate, to discuss social, political, and economic issues affecting Ghana. So at that place, it was agreed, Dr. McPam agreed to add DSP Tobu to the platform. So that's what I'm aware of.
Right, so Joseph, what's next?
They are supposed to be arraigned tomorrow. It's supposed to be arraigned tomorrow. We understand that lawyers will be making a case for him to be moved from BNI custody, preferably into police custody. We've seen it happen in terms of the other 9 individuals who are already standing trial. Their lawyers made a case for them to be moved from the BNI custody. Some were sent into the military custody, the 7 soldiers, whilst the others were taken to the Nsaum prison because the lawyers had complained that they are not happy with how the BNI officials handle the lawyers and the family members when they come over to see their clients. And so lawyers for the police officers say this will be one of the first applications they'll be making when they appear in court tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Akable, who is also our court correspondent. Moving on, the minority in Parliament is challenging plans by the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to spend over 3 million cedis on various corporate social responsibility initiatives. The board, in a leaked memo, approved, among others, an amount of 300,000 cedis for the 20th anniversary of the Ochehene and 120,000 cedis for the First Lady's Rebecca Foundation. The Economic and Organized Crimes Office is to also get 550,000 cedis. GNPC has justified the approvals, explaining the amounts will go to enhance the corporation's image. Former Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor, has described the planned expenditure items as inappropriate and not in line with the corporation's stated objectives, especially when it is faced with a funding gap.
When the committee met, we had a detailed explanation. Indeed, GNPC, when they presented, demonstrated how they were going to raise revenue. And if you go and read the Hansard, we indicated that those money should be raised subject to the Finance Committee's approval and subject to approval on the floor of Parliament. And so I hold the view that Parliament did a good job. Parliament at the committee level of the Mines and Energy in approving, we put some clauses there and some caveats there. If you refer to the 2019 budget of the GNPC, their total expenditure amounts to about 4.27 billion. And then their total revenue for the year amounts to about 3 billion. It means that there's a funding gap of more than 1.24 billion. This is a huge, colossal amount that GNPC is yet to even find the funding to close. And at the parliamentary committee level, we made it clear that they should come back to Parliament again and seek justification and approval before spending. And so I think that if they do anything contrary to what Parliament has approved, it is unconstitutional in my opinion, it is not proper, and it doesn't meet good governance tenets. I hold the view that if you have a company that has a funding gap only 1 year, and we are not talking of their total liability, just this year alone, GNPC has a funding gap or a deficit of 1.24 billion, they ought to be concentrating in how to pay that money.
He says the Energy Minister will have to come to Parliament to explain why GNPC is spending public funds in such a manner, adding that the House will attach more scrutiny to the corporation's budgets in the future.
The Minister must come to explain when these protocols were adopted. Is the Minister aware? Is it a policy decision of government that GNPC can engage in this kind of expenditure? What are the protocols involved? Is this something that has been happening over the years? What can we do to ensure that we streamline the operations? If we want to support people, let's do that in a proper fashion. Let's do that in an equitable, fair, and transparent manner. That is one. Number two is that GNPC itself will be appearing before the committee for approval of their 2020 budget. And let me assure you, we are not going to take bulk figures, because sometimes they bring bulk composite figures, and embedded in those bulk composite figures, they go doing all these kind of things.
The Auditor-General has meanwhile indicated the expenditures will be probed. Speaking on Joy FM Super Morning Show, Daniel Domlovo also described as inappropriate the donation to Yoko.
I'm not very sure whether Yoko has collected money from them or not. But being an oversight institution like mine, I would say no, I won't go near it at all. There is no way that GNPC can come and say, Auditor General, get 20 Ghana cedis, and I will accept it. Because, you see, as an oversight body, you must not only be independent, but must be seen as independent.
Okay.
So if an oversight body is partaking in the booty and goes back to provide oversight, who will trust them? They may even do professional work, but they've compromised, jeopardized their independence, which I think has to be avoided. I'm not very sure whether they collected it, so that's why I say I'm assuming what you are saying is correct. But I think that is not a way to go. For instance, if I'm partaking from the money in GNPC and I go back and audit them, will you believe the findings that I bring? Will you say that I'm very independent in the opinion that I may be expressing? That is why we should not go there. Let me make a quick point here. The board has right to make decisions. But one of the things the board must have to understand that they can only make decisions within the ambit of the law. The Constitution, which is the supreme law of Ghana, under Article 178, says you can use public funds only the way that is prescribed or allowed by the law. So maybe during an audit, we interrogate to find out whether the laws of GNPC allows the money to be used that way.
The Auditor-General, in another development, says he's prepared to face the law if found culpable in investigations by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office into alleged procurement breaches. The Auditor-General's office is said to have gone contrary to the law in the purchase of vehicles worth 6.2 million cedis. Daniel Domlovo, however, explains that supposed breach was remedied with a blessing of the Public Procurement Board and that he is simply paying the price for fighting corruption.
Not just get up and ratify, because it is as a result of an investigation report. So he said, okay, then Daniel, if that is not a problem, we can come and investigate and see whether things were done right. I allowed it. So PPA came and did their investigation. When they came to do their investigation, they, at the end, wrote a report. Very interesting. Anyone who has a copy of that report, page 8 of the report, they made recommendation to Audit Service to apply for ratification. The Public Procurement Board team that came to do the audit report, the investigation, recommended that Ghana Audit Service should apply to PPA Board for ratification. Then we applied for the ratification. Say, okay, give us the ratification. Then the board right to say no. The right to ratify is at the discretion of the board. It's not for you to request for it. So the reason why we will not give you is because you have asked for it. Interestingly, they went ahead and said that, not just said, they directed that Audit Service should take immediate steps to pay for the cars. They directed, listen to me, I didn't say that they advise us or they urge us. They directed that we should take immediate steps to pay for the car.
He said his officers are being intimidated so he could back down in his anti-corruption campaign, but vowed not to succumb.
Yoko should go to PPA and find out why did they ratify it. I don't see why they are on the back of my staff. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, they've invited my deputies and several officers. I think it's one of the intimidating principles or approaches being used. But then I want to assure them that they can come and jail me. We will not stop doing what we are doing. I've said it time and again, that I don't fear any attack on my office. And I'm not alone anyway. Let me share with you for you to know that it is usually the fate of Auditors General I have a cartoon from the Auditor-General in Kenya where he's sitting on his seat and people are cutting so to remove him, and they say they can't figure out how to do this. I have several other examples where I don't want to mention the name of the this, but the president has almost put a ban on the Auditor-General because the Auditor-General is exposing him too much.
In another African country?
Another African country. So it is all over. The independence of the Auditor-General.
Moving to other stories. The Joint Clean Ghana Campaign Task Force over the last 10 weeks has unearthed all manner of sanitation malpractices, including smoked fish and meat left at the mercy of houseflies. The team, however, discovered on Tuesday some of this fish and meat sold to the public are kept in cold stores that could at best be described as cold gutters. What the team found on Tuesday at the Kaneshi market was simply awful, and viewers are warned some of the images are disgusting. Nancy Emefajradozi has more.
Today we are going to concentrate much on the meat at the meat shops, the fresh fish meat shop and then the butcher shop.
Director of Public Health Department Florence Kuchi announcing the team's preparedness to deal with butchers and operators of cold stores found to be handling food under unhygienic conditions.
Because we've taken them to court, still they are refusing.
But just at the entrance of the market was this heap of garbage covering an area large enough for 2 SUVs to comfortably park.
This is just an eyesore.
Just by this was a pile of plantain being carried into the market to be sold. Madam Florence Kuchi, however, stopped them. Despite the traders' plea, the task force was instructed to cut the plantain away.
Take over and make sure that it's secured. We'll arrange the car to come and pack it away.
At the butchers, a huge auditorium housing over 50 workers, not a single one of them had a health card.
To set out the standard for you people to comply, to sell your meat here, is it true or false? Have you people done it?
Some are done, some are didn't done it.
He announced the place was going to be shut down, but this did not go down well with the butchers.
We are only telling you people to move out and we'll close the place.
The leadership of the butchers showed up and pleaded with the team, adding that they were ready to undertake the lab test.
We agreed that next week, Wednesday, all his boys will do the medical screening.
At a cold store the team visited, it found a rusty container with fish, meat and crab stored in what could best be described as a cold gutter.
To be honest with you, this is your cold room, isn't it? Look at though there is pallets here, you can see how dirty these pallets are. You can see how dirty the floor is. You can see the condition under which that you store this meat and you bring it out for sale. For now, if we close here, are we wrong?
You are not wrong. Please, you are not wrong. We are not wrong. But
so no, I'm going to close here.
Please
look at all that is. It's too much for us to bear. It's too much for us to bear. Patrol police officer. Patrol, what's my friend that force the mama now? I'm about to okay, mama.
Please, my brother.
Look at flies.
Somebody brought it here. Somebody brought it here.
Rotten fishes were covered with filthy rags, meat left in dirty containers. Underneath the pallets was a cocktail of rotten, smelly fish, vegetables, and stagnant brownish water.
No, you will not sell
that I'm not.
No, you are not selling. Anybody whose food is here, we will not allow the person to take it to the market. Anything that is here is not going out to the market.
These things, we are all going to eat it. My wife may come here and buy some of these things, cook for me, cook for any of us, our family. These days, do you know the life expectancy rate? It's because of some of these things.
The place was locked up. Meanwhile, the next cold store, the situation was different. Cartons of meat and fish were neatly placed on pallets.
Provided pallets for all the product that you have here, and the floor is dry. So there is reduction of contamination here. So with that one, we say you have 50%. But we want to see your health certificate.
Throughout the market, these fish and pork sellers said they were completely clueless about the health card.
Muabi.
They were even thrown in a state of shock when they heard it cost 40 Ghana cedis.
Hey! 400.
Just as the team was going round, Madam Kuchi spotted a man who was passing urine in the open. His friends were angry that the inspector had questioned him. Inspector Sitanga asked the task force to take the man away unless he agreed to scrub the wall, which had developed green algae with rubbish all around it.
Arrest him, let's take him away. Stop, let's go. Indecent behavior.
He agreed. In no time, he got to work. The team met the environmental officer for the Kaneshi market, who laid the blame at the doorstep of the AMA, even though she admits she has a role to play. The team is on again on Thursday.
Elsewhere, the KMA, Love and Insure FM Sanitation Enforcement Team has taken its house sanitation campaign to Kwadaso Estate and a slum village springing up at Sofoline in Kumasi. The new strategy is expected to narrow in on insanitary conditions at the community level. 10 houses found to have connected their wastewater to an overflowing septic tank were sanctioned and food sold close to drains seized. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko has more.
The team started the traditional house-to-house sanitation enforcement drive from Kwadaso Estate under the Nshayasu sub-metro of the KMA. Together with the local sub-metro team, we stormed the vicinity. It was detected that over 10 houses are connected to this septic tank, which is full and leaking its contents into the open drain.
Close to say cause nuisance and I say the problem will bar. And once say you do one casa utria last time say media utria bida na utria no now
One of the landlords was confronted and made to remove the exit pipe and seal the vent.
Actually, I'm not the owner of this house. I'm just a caretaker.
But do you use this particular tank?
I came to meet this septic tank here for a long time. And the problem has been there for a long time.
Collection of money for the dislodging is a problem. So I'm expecting every house to construct a tank as other houses have done. To construct a tank for their septic tank, for their house. Are you with me?
Matthias.
Yes. So at least by next week, I'll come around and ensure that the tank is dislodged.
In this house, we found the landlord has turned the whole place into a chop bar without the requisite license or food vendor certificate.
Reasons being I was there, no, I was there a corporate hospital. I was there, baby, or no, or you assembly who said, baby, or you are at money. But we don't fear for any problem. But what time of public need I was saying, Utimiko, my who said, Yawayan. So, and I'm saying, one could eat. Who said you are in our town?
The food was being prepared close to this leaking liquid toilet. The whole item was seized. The overgrown weeds in front of this house attracted the team. The elderly landlord was given notice to clear the weeds in 2 days or face legal action.
Yeah, we've come to your house. The frontage is weedy inside. But why? Yeah, child doctor is on to 20 now. I'm an ambassador. My tenant no fear. They should weed the frontage and then weed the intent.
In this slum village springing up at Sofo Line, one of the slum dwellers had constructed a commercial makeshift toilet. The team demolished the structure immediately, and notice was left for the owner to appear before the environmental office of the KMA.
For many years, schools in Ghana have used weeding as a form of punishment for students who flout school rules. But a great lecturer believes this approach is killing the interest of students in farming. Dean of the School of Agriculture at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Elvis Asari-Bediako, believes a government directive to halt the practice could help change the narrative and encourage more young people to venture into the sector. Joining us, Kwame Affair has more in this report.
Like it or not, in many high schools across the country, it is normal to see students cleaning and scrubbing. This is because they are often responsible for cleaning the environment. And for those who break school rules, weeding of grass on the park or bushes around the school is a common punishment. This is something many people are familiar with.
We were in class one evening during prep, and then suddenly a girl started shouting and she ran out of the classroom, and we all got up and ran and followed her because we didn't know what was happening. So the next day, our house mistress, she gave us a very big plot of land to go and read. In fact, I will never forget that experience. After reading, I had blisters in my palm.
We went out without anesthesia, so we came back and we see that the housemaster was in front of our door. He asked us where are we coming from. We said we went out to buy some medicine. He said no, it's a lie. So he just punished us. That night, there was one of the coconuts in front of our hostel. He punished us with a weeding. And that night we couldn't sleep. We weeded like when we see our palms, how our palm was yellow, how the blood was there. You feel like weeding is not really easy.
So when you work in school, weeding it wasn't that sweet or nice, I should say. It was a punishment, but in a way it was fun. Yeah, sometimes some of us we could actually bribe not to be taken to the places to be weeding, but we had something we called disco weeding. Bro, you mess up with your housemaster and he gets you around somewhere around 7:38. You would go into the bush and weed. It actually makes you not look at weeding as a nice thing.
And as agriculture involves weeding, there is the thought that young people from the senior high schools may lose interest in agriculture.
Anytime we vacate to the house, when my father said, let's go farm, I said, no, I don't go. Because of how my palms, everything was blood and a whole lot. So that's Indian. No, I don't like farming. So farming experience, I don't want to go there at all.
And even though they are saying weeding shouldn't serve as a source of punishment, I think they are just trying to cut costs in the school, because instead of giving it out to laborers to weed for them to pay them or something, they just want to take advantage of free labor.
Dean of the School of Agriculture at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Elvis Asari-Bediako, says this form of punishment may be doing more harm than good.
Some policies that prevent, maybe in schools, punishing students using weeding and all that. We used to have this concept of school gardening. And all this, we may also be able to form clubs in school, some true policies, agricultural clubs, producing crops and all that, right at even the basic level.
Professor Elvis Asari also wants government to reintroduce agriculture as a core subject in the schools to whip up students' interest in the field.
At junior high school, we used to have core agriculture, agri-science. Now, it is not so. Then at secondary school, we used to have core agriculture. Now, it is not so. We have added agriculture to integrate general science, chemistry, physics, and biology, and call it integrated science. And so it means the emphasis on agriculture has gone down. And as a result, we are talking of catch them young, step them at the earliest stage. But here you are, now at the earliest stage, we have played down agriculture. And I think this is a major reason why the interest has gone down. And so because the same people from JSS to SS to the university. But if the interest has gone down, then of course, you don't expect many of them to also opt for agriculture science at the universities.
Kwame Ofe's report for Joy News.
Minister for Works and Housing has accused the erstwhile Mahama administration of awarding the Accra sanitary, sewer and storm water drainage alleviation project to a company which did not execute it. Samuel Atachia said this at a program to commission some equipment of the Dredge Masters, the company currently in charge of the silting the Odaw and Korle Lagoon. Here's a report by Philip Ankra, read to you.
The $595 million Accra sewage project was initiated by the Mahama administration and was aimed at improving the drainage and sewer systems in the Accra metropolis. It was to focus on the flood zone in the Odaw Basin and beyond, and to alleviate flooding and insanitary conditions in the capital. According to the Minister of Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, the contractors known as Kunti Group did a poor job.
If some of you are aware, let me bring you back to memory lane in relation to what they call the Accra Sanitary, Sewer and Stormwater Drainage Alleviation Project. And the company they hired to do this project was Kunti, a company from the United States of America. I regret to tell you that they didn't give us even a feasibility report. But the previous government paid them over $9 million to tackle the serious drainage challenges of Accra, especially those related to the Korle Lagoon and the Odaw Basin. Guess what happened? It was Dredge Masters who came to our aid.
Project manager of Dredge Masters, Sena Adiepena, reviewed the company has been able to mitigate the impact of flooding often experienced in the country.
So since 2016, after the flood in 2015, we've, in most instances, when we've had heavy rainfall, reduced the impact of the overflowing of the drains. In some instances, there have been no case of overflowing. Those instances where we have heavier than usual, where we've had the overflow of the drain, its impact hasn't been that severe as compared to if there was no dredging at all.
CEO of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Mohammed Nieje Soa, commended Dredge Masters for their works and urged Ghanaians to be mindful of the indiscriminate dumping of refuse.
We at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and all the assemblies in Accra have joined forces to provide beans to your various homes and also encourage the informal sector collectors as well as the big contractors to also collect your waste. We are entreating city dwellers and using this platform to caution people who come into the city and those who also stay within and litter the streets of Accra.
Philip Ankra's report for Joy News.
About 70 motorbikes and other property have been destroyed in a fire at Sabon Zongo in Kumasi Tuesday. Affected traders believe the fire was started from an electrical source they blame on intermittent power outages. No casualty was recorded. Mohammed Nurudin was there and his report is read to you.
The fire is said to have started at about 3:30 a.m. Residents and traders tried to salvage some items but failed. Property worth thousands of cedis was destroyed.
We placed numerous calls to the fire service, but they told us they had run out of water.
Fire personnel are yet to comment on the cause of the incident as they begin investigations.
Our problem is that the way they use to off and on the lights, that brings that problem. That's our main problem here, because they usually use to off the light and then on it, they off it and on it. That's bring all these things that happened here.
The minority in Parliament is objecting to a $600 million Ghana COCOBOD loan facility to boost cocoa production. They argue the loan, when approved, will not be used to serve its purpose. As part of the facility, $5 million will be used to provide chocolate for school children. COCOBOD is billed to spend over $2.5 million on awareness creation about chocolate consumption. Government, as part of measures to ensure the sustainability of the cocoa sector, COCOBOD and its counterpart in Côte d'Ivoire adopted a strategic framework to mitigate the declining international prices in a bid to ensure sustainable benefits for farmers and the economies of the two countries. But the minority have raised concerns about the framework. Debating the report of the Finance Committee, ranking member of the Finance Committee, Ato Forsing, questioned why the state will spend its meager resources on such expenses which doesn't inure to the benefit of the cocoa sector. He has been speaking with the media.
This loan, as presented to Parliament, they are going to use it for the purposes of their campaign.
No, but we know that it's a cocoa loan.
This loan is going to their campaign, and I'll give you reasons why it's going for their campaign. One, the financial structure of this loan is an outlier. Outlier in the sense that almost every loan that we take that is tied to project, that's why we call it project loans. The drawdown is never done in a year. You stagger the drawdown over the duration of the project. Unfortunately, this one, per the agreement, the drawdown should be 6 months. We were informed that it's going to be 2 months, so they are going to draw down in 2 months period. What this means is that government of Ghana and Ghana COCOBOD is going to pay interest on the loan, whereas the money is sitting idle. We all know that we are going into an election year. What this government seeks to do is that go and take $600 million, use it for their campaign, and then eventually after they win, they may find a way to reimburse it. So we are, by this medium, cautioning the lenders that this loan is subject to proper scrutiny in future. And we, as minority, we are going to dig into this matter, because clearly everything proves to the point that this loan is going to be misapplied. If not because of that, there's no reason, no justification for them to go and take the loan, let the money sit down, and then spend the money within 2 months, something that you will spend 3 years for.
Ato Forsing also threatened to officially write to the lenders asking for a renegotiation of the loan structure.
This is not good enough for us. That is not the way a developing country manages our resources. And so let me tell you, today the minority members of Parliament is going to write officially to the lenders, protesting with the use of proceeds on this with the 600 million. And the structure of the loan agreement is not acceptable. It is an outlier, and nobody should encourage this thing to happen in our republic. We are here as citizens, we are not spectators. We'll fight for the Republic of Ghana, because this is not acceptable.
So are you seeking for restructuring or blocking?
Let me tell you, I'll be the first person to stand up any day to support anything that seeks to enhance cocoa productivity. But the nature and the structure of this loan, I'm sorry to say that I cannot be part of it.
The opposition NDC is calling for the enactment of a law that bars political authorities from appointing their immediate family members and friends to occupy key positions in government. At the 6th edition of the party's Moment of Truth series, National Communications Officer of the party, Samit JV, tagged President Akufo-Addo as the most nepotistic government in the history of the world, providing what he says is evidence of classic and unprecedented cronyism.
He is joined in government by his father, his biological father, called Kofi Dakon Asante.
The National Communications Office of the NDC, Sami Jemfi, started with Executive Secretary to the President, Nana Asante Bedietu. He accused the President of giving his nuclear family key positions in government.
Among Akufo-Addo's uncountable relatives in government is Nana Asante Bedietu, who is a cousin of President Akufo-Addo from Chebi and serves as his Executive Secretary. But ladies and gentlemen, Bedietu is not alone. He is joined in government by his father, his biological father, called Kofi Dakon Asante, who has been appointed by President Akufo-Addo as chairman of the Governing Council of GIMPA. He is also joined by his biological mother, Mrs. Vida Asante. You can see her picture on the screen, who is the head of the presidential household. So his mother is also a presidential staffer, described as head of the presidential household. His brother, his blood brother, Kwesi Kuntu Asante, has also been appointed as a board member of Ghana Hostels. In addition to this, his blood sister, called Loretta Asante, with a marital name Ochre, so she's now called Loretta Ochre, has also been appointed as one of the 3 Deputy Director General at Senate.
Sami Jemfi also accused the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, of helping his family members to occupy key positions in government.
Dr. Bawumia's father-in-law, father of the second lady, Samira Bawumia, called Alhaji Ahmed Ramadan, has been made Ghana's envoy to the United Arab Emirates. We also must add that Samira Bawumia's brother, Alhaji Ramadan's son, that is Abu Ramadan, has also been appointed as a deputy director at NADMO. But not just that, you also have another brother of Samira Bawumia. So Rebecca Akufo-Addo is not the only guilty, first lady. The second lady is also part. Mumuni Abdullahi Bawumia, if we can see his picture, he's quite unknown. Mumuni Abdullahi Bawumia, a brother of Vice President Bawumia, has been appointed as technical advisor to the Interior Minister, Honorable Ambrose Derry. So Bawumia's brother has also gotten his fair share.
The National Communications Officer claimed some contracts won legitimately by contractors and service providers have been taken from them and given to relatives of the president.
Number 1, how President Akufo-Addo took oil supply contracts from BOST and gave it to a company associated with his brother, Edward Akufo-Addo, aka Bomti. So BOST, as a state-owned entity, was supplying finished petroleum products to GOIL, to TOR, and other state institutions. As soon as President Akufo-Addo took office, ladies and gentlemen, a company called Stratcon Energy was hurriedly formed in 2017.
Interaction. That's it for the bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.